promise you. It's going to be so exciting. We're going to have so much fun. Get into the chat, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a live. And also, you guys, tap that like button. It doesn't cost a thing. So tonight on Viral Crimes with Jocelyn, we are entering the world of 1980s Harlem to examine the real story of Rich Porter. You know this Rich, you know, is all. Listen, my ultimate favorite movie. Anybody that truly knows me, you say, what's her favorite movie? Paid in Full. So Rich Porter was the man who inspired that movie. Most biographical accounts list Rich Porter was probably born July 26th. I found multiple dates like July 27th, 8th. But anyway, we're going to stick it to the middle, the 26th. So placing him under the sign of a Leo, he was remembered as bold, stylish, visible, protective, and commanding. I think that's all me. I concur. I think I'm a little bit of all of that. But Rich's larger-than-life presence also attracted envy, suspicion, and danger. Your girl can relate. I don't know how many of you guys watched the movie, saw the movie. I saw it on the first night when it came out. I was there. I was in the building, and the movie was just amazing. So, as stated, most biographical accounts list Rich. He was born on July 26th, making him and placing him under the sign of Leo. He was remembered as bold, stylish, visible, protective, and commanding. But Rich's larger-than-life presence also attracted envy, suspicion, and danger. I understand it. See, Leos, you know, we like to live loud. We truly do. It's in our DNA, our genetic makeup. You cannot. We're a lion. There's nothing. A lion can't hide nowhere. Okay. So this is a story of a lion who ruled his environment, but could not see every threat hiding inside the pride that was around him. Now that's one thing you see the symbolism. He couldn't see within the pride around him. See, this is where I differ because God gave me discernment, so I see it all. So we will break down Rich's rise in Harlem, the kidnapping, and the murder of his 12-year-old brother, William Donnell Porter. We're going to talk about Alpo Martinez, admitted involvement in the deletion of Rich, his allegations involving the Porter's family, maternal uncle. Y'all saw the movie. Y'all know that uncle was crazy. I didn't trust that man as far as I could see him in each scene. I didn't trust him. I don't think Rich trusted him either. But I believe him allegedly, and the mom had the same addiction, so she trusts him. So we're going to talk about the connection to Clarence, the preacher. The Leo theme is usually symbolic, you guys. So it means strength. Zodiac signs do not cause criminal behavior or violence or victimization. We're just talking here and have a little fun with this. So again, please like, share, and subscribe to Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. No case will be forgotten here. I am digging into crates. So let's get started. So who was Rich Porter? Who was he? That was him. With his larger than life. So funny because I have 2 pineapples sitting on my counter right now. I don't even know what to do with them. So so this was Rich Porter. You know, the scene that he was in back in the day. Listen, everybody wanted to be in that scene. Let me see if I can see the scene, the hype, the nightlife, everything about it was off the chain. This is Donnell, his little brother. This, of course, you guys know that's the real Paid in Full, and then the actors from Paid in Full. So we're going to dig deep. So let me just start out and do some housekeeping, get that out the way right now before we go any further. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. Come on into the room. As you enter, please hit that like button, share this live, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Where are you guys watching from? Twitch, Kick, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok? Where are you watching from? And guess what? Don't meet us there, beat us there. So tonight we're opening another chapter in our Deadly Leo series. So, and this is a case involving money, power, family, loyalty, kidnapping, murder, and one of the most infamous betrayals in the history of Harlem. Listen, I always say if Jesus can have a Judas, so can you. So can you. So watch yourself around people we call friends. So, Rich Porter. Many people watching already knows Rich's name. You know, this is not a name that did not go around. Everybody who was anybody back in those days knew who Rich Porter was. Some of you know Rich Porter through the streets of Harlem. Some of you know him through hip hop. And millions of people know a fictionalized version of him as Mitch in the movie Paid in Full. So his street name was Mitch, but his government was Rich. But tonight we're going beyond this movie, you guys. We're going behind the expensive cars, behind his flashy clothes, all the money he had, behind the street legend. We are examining the real man, the real family, and the real child who suffered. Must never be reduced to a Hollywood storyline. And that's why I try to do here. Keep those names alive. Whoever you are, you're more than just a headline. And that child was Rich's 12-year-old brother. This young man right here. Donnell Porter. So before we begin, I need to give anyone or everyone a serious trigger warning. Tonight's case includes kidnapping, mutilation, deletion. I will explain the necessary facts, but I will not describe the child's suffering just for shock value, you guys. I'm not going to go that deep, although I did find a lot of information on what this young man went through, but I will not mention it on this channel. So Donnell Porter deserves dignity. He was not a dealer. He was not a street figure. He was not responsible for the life his older brother was living, but unfortunately, he was a casualty of war and a casualty of the street life. He was a sixth grader who was deliberately targeted because of criminals around him. So tonight, we are also going to be very careful with our language. There are parts of this case that were documented by police and contemporary news reports. So we're gonna be really careful. You know, we got to protect the channel as well. These are parts that Alpo Martinez later admitted himself. So we have a lot going on. I do have a video that we'll be going in and out of this video. We'll be doing commentary and actually breaking it down in real life. So if you guys have anything that you want to add within the in the chat, please add it to the chat and let's talk about this case. Because I know 80% of the people out there know who Rich Porter was. So let's get into this video. Like I said, we're going in and out because I got some facts, a lot of things that weren't spoke about. We're going to talk about it here. Just keep it clean, you guys. Just keep it clean. Here we go.
That nigga started probably, he was about 13. He was like one of the youngest cats out. He started real young.
It was that very last time that he came, and he must have been only like 15 and a half, and he had the big chains on, the big gold chains.
The kids around here noticed these things immediately and started asking questions.
At this time and age, that might be normal, but I'm talking about back in 78. You understand, a 13, 14-year-old kid, you know, 79, that wasn't normal.
He was very street smart, and he would observe everything.
Nigga had the eye of the tiger and he was hungry, man.
Poe wasn't drinking, Poe wasn't smoking no weed, Poe didn't do nothing. You know, Poe was strictly about getting paper and putting that shit away.
It's some shit like LeBron James got it, Michael Jordan had it, Poe had it.
When my nigga Al met my man Shorty Love, and my man Love showed this nigga the way what this is,
His game wasn't aggressive at all.
When he got with Randy, the beast came out with him.
When Alpo met Randy, somehow Randy installed an aggressiveness in him, and he just went ahead and did his damn thing.
He learned, like, listen, if you want to get in the game, you gotta be 110% sure, because the nigga.
Now we'll say there are allegations made by Rich's sister and other family members. They are street accounts that have been reported for decades, but we were unable to find these allegations in stone. So, and then there are scenes created by the movie, you know, that wasn't actually facts. You know, they do that just to dramatize it. So we will not treat every rumor as a proven fact here. We're not going to do that. When something was documented, I will call it documented. When something was alleged, I will call it allegations, you guys. So I don't like giving just what I hear on TikTok or whatever. I try to really find the facts and report them as such. And when we don't know, I'm going to say we don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. So this is not about making criminals into superheroes. Definitely not that. This is about understanding how a young man became a legend, how his family became a target, and how his brother ended up deleted. So tonight's question for me, I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking, is who was the lion of Harlem? What happens when the lion cannot recognize the danger around him? Take a moment and share this live, you guys. Tonight we're telling the real story behind Rich Porter. Now, before we enter into the timeline, let's just explain why this case belongs in our Deadly Leo series. I'm excited about the new series. I really, really am so excited about it. So now, before we enter, let's figure this out, okay? Y'all always hear my dog bark. My dog could be quiet the whole entire day. And the moment I go live, this is what she decides to do. There she goes. Most published biographical accounts list Rich Porter, born on July 26, placing him under the zodiac sign of Leo. Leo is symbolized by the lion. And culturally, people commonly associate Leo's energy with confidence, visibility, pride, loyalty, generosity. Like, we are extremely generous to a fault. We will reward bad behavior. We are gift givers like you wouldn't believe. Leadership, protectiveness, and a desire to be recognized. But I don't care to be recognized. I just happen to be recognized. So it's not something that I strive to do. It just happens. It's just, I don't know what it is. It just happens. Now, let me say this clearly. A zodiac sign does not cause, just because you're born under that sign doesn't mean that you are the leader. You know, being a Leo does not make you violent. I'm not a violent person. I'm a very loving person, very calm person, very kind person. So that's not what we're saying here. So being born under any sign does not determine whether someone becomes a victim, you guys. So we are using the lion as a storytelling lens, not as an excuse and not as a scientific explanation behind that zodiac sign. Listen, if you're a Leo, I love being a Leo. But when we look at how Rich Porter has to be remembered, the lion symbolism is difficult to ignore. It really is. When I was reading about him, I'm like, wow, he screams Leo. Like my daughters were all into the astrology, and they always tell me, Mom, you're a triple Leo. I'm like, wow, what does that mean? So they broke it down. I'm like, wow, that is really me. I have nothing else sprinkled on me. I'm all Leo. So Rich was remembered as somebody who blended into the background. He was visible. He was stylish. He reportedly loved expensive cars, expensive clothing. He carried himself with confidence. And guess what? People noticed him. People, they admired him. They copied his fashion. You know, he was fresh to death. You know, I'm going to be talking like back in those days, you guys. So you guys that was born in the 70s know what I'm talking about, okay? And people talked about him long after his passing. This is the power of presence. But visibility has two sides, you guys. And we got to be careful with that. So when people see you shining, some will celebrate you. Some will follow you. Some will stand next to you. But others, I promise you, family, friends, they will envy you. They will study you. Others will count what they believe. You got your pockets, what they see in your home. They want to know how you did it, how you got to where you are. And others will begin to look for your weaknesses. How can I get in? How can I try to break this down? How can I destroy what this person has? The lion may be powerful, but the lion is also extremely visible. He can't hide. He cannot hide from anything, from other animals, from being hunted. He cannot hide. So right there, you're at a disadvantage. And in Rich's world, being visible meant that people believed they knew how much money he had, which cars he owned, where his families lived, and which person he loved enough to pay anything to protect. And that person was his little brother. That was Donnell. He would have done anything for that little boy. He was his father. He loved that little boy. So throughout tonight's story, listen for these themes: pride, presence, territory, loyalty, protection, and betrayal. So let's watch a little bit of this little story here.
Take you out and never underestimate the man don't got nothing.
My niggas and them was on the grind and stick the motherfucking Dominicans up. And they had to send a nigga in there, like my nigga Paul was, he knew Spanish. They didn't know he knew Spanish. So when they was talking that he was on the side letting niggas know what to do.
As soon as Paul get in the house, nigga tell you, here to you, man, listen, it's on the 7th floor. Wow, just come up here and get your door down.
Watch out for this nigga. The gun is over there, the coat is over here, the keys over there.
See, he buying it. Yo, listen, hold up, I gotta go to the car and get some more money. That's when niggas come in and stick everything up.
The adrenaline that Paul got, that shit felt so good to anybody practically, but the adrenaline felt so good, man, it gave him a rush. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Let's go up there and put pressure on these motherfucking niggas across town, and we get a bunch of keys and we just lock the whole area up. So they had the whole east side on lockdown, man. For real. They had the whole east side on lockdown.
He was only 15 years old when he blew up, and it was like overnight.
That's crazy. We're not talking about an adult here. We're talking about a 15-year-old kid. This young boy was able to get into this industry and just take it over at such a young age.
He was like a Jocelyn on the Outlaws. He had a posse. When them niggas rolled, they was no joke. Them niggas, if they went into your house and it was drama, them niggas even turned the fish tank over. They didn't leave no witnesses in that game.
After he learned what that heart felt like and how ruthless he had to be to maintain his game and get them papers, he got that.
It was a time when he would joke around, but when he was serious,
that Puerto Rican would come out of him in a minute.
The game was rough, so he just, he put his grind on.
He had stick-up kids in check. He was checking stick-up niggas. He was telling niggas, listen, that's my spot, don't fuck with that. And they wasn't fucking with it.
And it was funny to watch this young teenage kid work 45, 30-year-old men and how he would work them.
Now, you guys, we're talking about Alpo. We're not even on Rich yet. They're strictly talking about how Alpo, how he grind, how he took over the streets, how the streets was alive at 6. Alpo was out there at 5:30 hustling.
And tell them to go to the store and get him a sandwich. Go over there and do this for me. And how they would listen and respect him.
New secret offensive is underway tonight in the war on illegal drugs. It is aimed at stopping the supply of cocaine.
Timing was everything, because all the older hustlers had faded out, and the game was wide open.
This is the kind of lucrative profit from this whole business. Which one of you is asking where we're going to get the money? This is going to help with the deficit being reduced, huh?
This whole area right here was nothing but the Chinese. They had the drugs locked down. But so many of them niggas was getting knocked off, and niggas was going to jail, and he was snitching on them.
So that allowed the Colombians to come in and fill the void.
They started giving it to a nigga cheaper than what the Chinese was giving it to a nigga for.
Their production is equal to nearly 3 times the amount of cocaine that was brought into the United States last year.
These countries who say they're our friends and they're our allies, they're destroying us. They're going to turn us into a banana republic.
We're not fighting a war, but we're darn sure losing the battle.
America's already started to take that message to heart. Tons of cocaine have been destroyed.
The United States has sent 6 Black Hawk assault helicopters and 160 U.S. Army pilots and maintenance personnel to Bolivia.
The Dominicans had it, they needed somebody to move it. You know what I'm saying? The blacks was the ones that could move it.
A revolutionized the shit.
When you heard Poe, you heard Rich. When you heard Rich, you heard A. Before you heard Alpo, you heard Azie.
I was getting joints for a dirt price, man. I don't think nobody.
All right, let's figure out, because I know a lot of people heard of these characters in the movie. So let's see. Okay, so we have right here. We have, based on the people here, the characters here, we have Ace played Azie's name in the movie was Ace. Rich Porter name was Mitch. And Alpo Martinez was Rico. So just remember those names as we're watching this video so we don't get confused. So right now, we're actually talking to Ace. I mean, watching Ace. So, okay, let's go. Let's keep going, you guys.
Street can compete with the prices out there.
He came up with a gimmick. Like everybody else was selling those small bottles. He came up with the GP35s and was selling them shits for like dimes, and he killed them.
This big for $10. You know, when niggas was selling shit this big for $50, this is how A blew. These niggas was getting real money.
See, you know what? In the movie, he was the one that he didn't like the flashiness. You know, he really, when what was it then? Kermit went to jail. That's when he decided that he was gonna do what he was doing. But it worked out for him because he's still alive to this day.
You come up here for a dime?
You know, everybody in the city knew about the jukebox.
I mean, people started seeing the lines, and I mean, it was ridiculous, man. I mean, that's why you had to bottle up everything at one time, because you never knew when the crowd was going to be there, you know. And I mean, it was ridiculous, man. I mean, you know, we used to have to tell people, y'all stand on the other side. I mean, that's how much that joint was moving. And I mean, if you think about it, we was giving them close to a half a gram for $10.
We learn that a prominent athlete has died because he took cocaine.
You couldn't go buy this from nobody else. You couldn't go buy the material that they had. They had it really fucking good, man.
When Poe went over there and got that money with the West Side niggas,
got introduced to Azie, this big player, young kid in the game.
the nigga just totally just took charge of shit, man. You know what I mean? A didn't have to tell him what to do and how to move. He knew how to move. You know what I mean? The nigga was a wolf.
He was kind of aggressive. You understand what I'm saying? I guess A took a liking to that, and you know, he immediately put him down.
You see, Rich reportedly believed he was surrounded by friends, you guys. He believed he was surrounded by his partners, his homies, his relatives. But a lion is most vulnerable when he believes that every animal beside him belongs to the pride. That is the thing. And I am at fault at that as well. And I don't know, listen, what sign are you guys? Drop it in the chat, TikTok, Kick, Facebook, drop it in the chat. What's your zodiac sign? But I have a problem with that. You know, I know who is against me, but I don't want to believe it. It's like, God, you put this sermon in me. But that's the scary part about being a Leo. And we already know what happened to him. So everybody in the comments, tell me this. Do you believe being flashy automatically makes you a person to target? I really do, because, you know, I used to go down to this. When I moved to Atlanta, I used to go down to this club called MJQ. So I would go down there and, you know, I'm dressed fresh to death. And then after over time, when I would walk through the door, they would be like, oh, Hollywood's here. And I'm like, I never came in well, I do dress my butt off. I will say that, pat myself on the back for that one. So I always would stand out. You know, I'm down in there in fur coats and fur boots. You know, I brought my little New York style down here to the South. So I would get a lot of attention, you know, not wanting the attention, but just being who I am. Why do I got to down myself? You know what I mean? So I understand him exactly what he's feeling. So, or should people be able to enjoy their success without criminals targeting their families? You know, I want to hear what you guys think. You know what I mean? Maybe, what if he was a doctor? Nobody knows. Some of you are saying, I already know that Rich should have been more private, a little more to himself. Others are saying that the child should have been completely off limits, no matter what she should. That's definitely, and I agree with all of that. So whatever Rich's choice was, Donnell was innocent, you guys. So let's keep playing this.
I believe Alpo wanted it more than the other cats that was around me.
He wanted to see how far he could take that shit.
Like, he was more like, I want this shit, man. I love this shit, man.
He was destined to be rich, man.
Azie used to test me sometimes. You know, he used to give me a certain amount of bricks and tell me to go bottle more. You know, he didn't play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, A didn't play that, man. You know.
We had to sit down there and bottle 10 bricks. He gonna sit down there with me and make sure each, you know, while I was bottling before he go out to work.
because the spot on 45th Street was moving so fast that it was doing 2 or 3 bricks a day. You know what I'm saying?
A took a liking to him because it was about his business.
Say for instance, okay, Connect give me 100 bricks, and they say, okay, give me $1 million. I'm not going to bring the Connect back 999 million and 99 cents. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure they have that penny to make it $1 million. Even if a nigga fucked up my shit, whatever, that's not their business, that's my business. You understand? I take it out mine and here, boom. Why? Because as soon as they say, I say here, they say here. You understand? And then they be in a position like, and thought like, damn, I don't want to lose this cat. Cat is loyal. And to me, loyalty brings forth royalty.
No, I seen the bigger.
That's the thing. Loyalty is so huge with a Leo. It's so big. But there's so many snakes out there. A snake will lay in wait for you to make one move. So although he was surrounded by what he thought was love. He thought he was literally surrounded by love. But there were snakes around him, posing as his homie, his best friend, word is born, we blah, 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 all this good stuff. And at the end of the day, that dude going home, putting his hand behind his head, thinking of how I can take this guy out. His homie. And sometimes with Leos, we get really blind to that. As you mature with age. Like right now, I ain't blind to nothing. Can nobody infiltrate me right now but God. So Rich's July 26th birthday is widely repeated in biographical accounts, although some secondary sources conflict on his exact birthday. But we do know he's a Leo, okay? So Rich Porter, he comes from Harlem, New York. By his early 20s, he had developed a powerful reputation in the neighborhood underground economy. Some words fill in the blank, you guys. It is what it is. I'm not trying to get my channel taken down. Now, there is a difference between reputation and documented scale. The streets talk and the news talk. We have to get somewhere in the middle and figure out what is right and what is not right. So street legends often describe Rich as one of Harlem's biggest kingpins. What is that guy named? Bigger than, what is his name? Jones. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. But there were some prior to him. Oh my goodness. And it's so funny because I should remember this because my grandmother used to do his hair in the late 20s, early 30s. And he would come to my grandmother's beauty salon in New York and would give money out to everybody. What is his name? I can't remember. I'll remember by the end of the show. So consummate police reportings was also, I did get some police reportings. I was able to take some notes. There's a lot of things within the movie that is not correct, but, they do it for dramatization. It is what it is. So police described Rich as a reputed dealer who controls several street-level sellers in Harlem. That does not mean he was insignificant. It means that we should be cautious about turning streets, you guys. Listen. You don't know what street. I know here in Atlanta, you can be on one street with $1 million houses make one left and you was in the pits. So nobody has produced a complete set of records showing exactly how much money Rich made, how much product he controlled, or how many people worked for him. We don't know. If you think it's out there and you're hearing something, it's a lie. But his image was powerful enough that people believed he possessed wealth. Rich reportedly became known as a luxury vehicle owner. He loved designer clothes, jewelry, and a lifestyle that made him stand out larger than life. In that period, the drug dealers sometimes occupied a position in the neighborhood that musicians and social media influencer might occupy today. So back in those days, we hit the streets. You're on the corners, you're chilling with your friends. Now on social media, you're in chat rooms chilling with your friends. It's just in that time. They used to hustle on the street corner. Now they hustling via freaking Snapchat. Nothing changes, you guys, under the sun. Just remember that. If you remember that, you'll be like, okay, nothing changes under the sun. It just doesn't. It just changed how it happens. It's sneaking in between here and there, but it's all the same. It's all the same. They still bringing in Uggs. They still doing all types of stuff like that. They just find another way to fit the times that we're living in. So the person with the most visible money became a symbol. Young people saw him. They saw his class he had, his clothes, his Rolex, and they wanted to be that and didn't realize that comes to an end. They didn't see the hunter watching from the grass, you guys, because somebody was watching him, obviously. Rich's public image communicated success, but the money came from an illegal UGG economy devastating New York's community. He was killing his own people. You know, when does money come second? So the crack era created fast wealth for a relatively small number of individuals while causing addiction, violence, incarceration, single families, and grief across an entire neighborhood and community. So that contradiction is important, you guys. So Rich could be loved by his family. He could be generous around people. You see how he gave his homeboy a car. You know, they did some real nice things for each other, you know, but that does not make him a hero. So let's get back into this.
And he played fair, so there was no need to be petty, you know, because he wasn't petty with me.
He had ideas, he had ambition, you know what I'm saying? He had dreams, and he wasn't letting nobody get in the way. No means necessary, nobody wasn't getting in the way of his plans.
He never let A down in the streets when it was crunch time. When we was young, and we was down the hill, we was getting paper, a whole lot of it. And there used to be dudes down there getting soft paper. They wasn't really getting no real paper, but, you know, they didn't extort us or nothing like that, but they would wait for A to leave, and then they'll go stick the joint up.
You know, A is the kind of person that's, you know, he don't want the problem.
He called a semi-meeting with Stanley, his brother, and asked them did they want the spot.
Now, he gave opportunity for anybody that was in the crew before Alpo came along to get the jukebox.
But they were so used to being spoon-fed that they wasn't ready to leave the nut.
Everybody was used to kind of everything being smooth. You know, when you was working with A, everything was just smooth. Wasn't no headaches, it wasn't no murder game or none of that.
So when it came to me, I was like, hell yeah.
I went in there with a broom and swept up all the bullshit, and it became what it needed to be.
Now I got me a gold mine, because I still seen the gold mine in it. And I was willing to protect it at any means necessary. And if that meant taking somebody's life, or killing somebody because they trying to take something that's mine, then so be it.
And when they know within 6 months, nigga, this blew up. I know Alpo blew off the jukebox. That really put Alpo in the game.
This morning when police in the Bronx were called to the Sagamore Apartments at 167th Street and the Grand Concourse.
I fell back after I got shot in 87.
The caller said a man was shot on the 3rd floor. When the cops got there, the door to apartment 3B was open.
Y'all think about this. At 25 years old, this dude is young. People are still trying to find a footing in life, trying to figure out who they are. And the fact that at 15, he started this. So he was already 10 years in the game. He had already accumulated a street reputation. Decades of people worshiping him. Rappers was reaching out to him. So this is so big. And how did a 15-year-old get it to where it was at that time? But street fame, listen, does not equal protection. It really doesn't. Sometimes friends, fame become a map leading to enemies. Yeah, his money, his access, they wanted it all. They wanted his cars. They wanted his what is some tires called? We used to call it 5 stars, something like that. Tires back in the day. But they wanted all of that. When he pulled up in the BMW, everybody's like, "Oh snap, you got the newest joint." You know what I mean? So let's keep watching. As you can tell, I'm from that era, so I really am. I loved it. So glad I was. Absolutely loved it.
Falling back because, you know, police is on me now. They fucking this dude. Everybody talking about my name was low before when I got shot with so many motherfuckers at the hospital. It brought forth, yo, who the fuck?
Now that's Lucky, y'all. From the movie, that's Lucky. Right here. He said, "Don't call me Lucky no more, Ma."
Is this?
We do believe that It had something to do with the narcotics.
The game is so deep that it goes into people's families. That people's families are hurting one another just to get what they can get. It's that ugly.
The person that set that situation up was A's sister's boyfriend.
The victims told police about of the Bronx. When the cops tracked him down in Pennsylvania, he surrendered on Monday, and they...
That's hilarious. He looks just like the person that played him in Pay the Full. That's funny. Now, that was Lucky's sister's boyfriend. We already know what happened to him and how he went in, came out, and was trying to get the streets back, but the streets wasn't the same.
brought him back to our town today.
I remember when this kid first came home. You know, I remember A buying him a car, you know, giving him some money, putting some money in his pocket.
For what? For money? For money that you could have got from him? But you jeopardize somebody else's life for this? And you a family member?
You got to understand that, you know, getting shot, you know, 5, 6, 7 times, you know, seeing your life flash in front of your face, amount of money don't mean shit. You know, money don't mean nothing no more. You just want to live.
I felt like if I didn't stay away from it all, man.
And it got to the point, you know, where A was just falling back.
Cash wasn't trying to hear me, man. Like when I told him, like, them niggas know everything, man. Who's who, what's what. Niggas like, yeah, whatever, man. We gonna still keep getting this money.
Rich ain't shot. Poe ain't shot. You know, these niggas is still wanting to go hard. You understand what I'm saying? So I figured at that point on, when A kind of stepped back, you know, Poe and Rich stepped up.
Me and my man Rich relationship became real strong. You know, it's like we became brothers.
Rich and Al were the two of the flyest niggas in Harlem. I mean, they were the originators of that, you know, you buy a car, I gotta buy the gear, I gotta buy the jewelry to match the car.
See, these niggas have matching jewelry that match their cars. Niggas was up on that. Niggas was like Batman and Robin. When you seen one, you seen the other. You know, these niggas started copying cars together.
We was like the first young dudes in Harlem to bust out with the convertible BMs. You know what I'm saying?
Niggas had the American dream. Whatever you thought you saw in a magazine, that shit went down 7th Avenue. That's why everybody used to come out on the streets and just watch.
Everybody drove sitting up straight. He bought the man way back in the seat all crazy.
He had the B50Z when he came to the avenue on that shit, young boy. With the T-top, with the beads on it. He had a bucket hat on. He had his son with him.
Now you still see niggas, man, when they drive their cars, the seat is all the way back.
Watch.
Everybody drove sitting up straight. He bought the man way back. Getting paid. I mean, getting paid. A lot of people were making money, but Alpo really stuck out. He had the best of both worlds. Negro stuck out from anybody. He had the looks, he had the charm, he had the money.
I was so scared because it was so much money.
There was one time we were there watching a movie and he came in with like bags, like black bags of money.
And the shit was filled to the top with money.
Dumped it on the floor and asked me and his sister to separate all the 5s, the 10s, and the 20s.
I apologize. Sometimes we go through these little hiccups during the lives, but when I repurpose them, I do go in and edit and add the unmessed up version into the video. So these are lives, and this is what happens when you're live.
And I'm like, I'm not sitting here separating all that money.
My cousin died to the drugs and they couldn't keep up with Alpo.
And getting keys? Oh my God. We were delivering those like the mailman delivered now.
He would come on a motorcycle and he would...
If y'all hitting that like button, let me know in the chat where you're hitting from. Are you on Kick, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Patreon? Let me know where you're hitting at. I'm trying to monitor everything. So you guys, please hit that like button and get this out into the algorithm. So, well, let's get into this. So, Rich was in the game. We do know. So he knew what was coming. You listen. You die. You play by what is it? You play by the, or you die by the, whatever. You know what I mean. So even when adults knowingly entered dangerous environments, that does not make the kid a murder or of a child expected. I don't believe that Rich thought that his brother would be a casualty of war with this street thing he had going on. And not only do I know he had no clue, it was not in his mind that it would be the uncle. See, this is what I mean. We have our eye on what's not right. So where he's looking at, oh, this is in the streets, little do he know, it was in the 4 walls of his home. It was in the backseat of his car that was watching him. You know what I mean? Like everybody is looking surface level. Look below the surface. Take off the rose petal glasses so you can enjoy a long life and knowing who your enemies are. Because I promise you, you have an enemy out there. You have an enemy out there. Just make sure you find out who it is before it finds out who you are. And let's keep going.
He was like, you know, what's up? You got that for me? And my cousin's like, yeah, I got it. And he's like, man, here, man. And he give him 15,000. Here you go. Here's 15,000. Where is it? And he looks at it. Kia Coke. Okay, Kia Coke. And he puts it in and stuffs it down his pants. Big fucking key, stuffs it down his pants. Gets on the bike and he's like, all right. And he's like, I'll see you later. And all of a sudden I look. He comes back around the block. I said, oh my God. And he's doing a fucking wheelie. And all of a sudden, the fucking key falls and breaks down First Avenue. A fucking key that I hear, and he spins around and gets off the bike, puts the bike on a kickstand, and starts picking as much of what he could salvage.
When he got that money, he let niggas know he had money because the nigga was wearing shit that nobody else was.
He was loud. Alpo was loud. Now we know Rich was loud as well, but Alpo, he let everybody know what he was doing, his every move. He was loud with it. And that was the difference between him and Rich. And also with, I'd like to call him Lucky, but his name is not Lucky. His name is, let me see. I got it here. His name is, Ace. It was Ace. Remember his mother was like, oh, Lucky. And he said, no, Ma, I ain't Lucky. Don't call me Lucky no more. So it's Azie. Ace was in the show. Now we know that Ace was real private. Ace had his little pregnant woman. Ace was trying to protect his home. Ace did everything possible to stay in the back. But unfortunate when you have people, listen, you guys, I hear it's dinging. I appreciate you guys. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop it in the chat. I'm trying to monitor everything. So just let me know where you're at. I truly appreciate this. So like, share, and subscribe. Get this out there because we're having fun this month. This is all about Leos. So yes, Rich Porter from Harlem was a Leo. His bigger than life attitude, it was all over him. Okay, he screamed Leo. But him screaming got people to watch and wait. So Donnell did not, which we're talking about Donnell, which was the little brother who was a casualty of war, had nothing to do with the streets. So do you guys believe that that public image was more dangerous than the actual money that he had? You know, because you can go out there and fake it till you make it and not have nothing. Not have a dime in the bank or in your pocket. But yet you out here Gucci, Louis, and all this stuff. So somebody gets taken off of a facade. It's not even real. All right, you guys, let's keep watching this.
To go out with my sister and her friends.
He would hire a man one day in the clubs. We would take him to the go-go's.
The nigga's smile is what captured everybody.
And he embracing all these DC niggas. You know, we hit these niggas off with a lot of cake, you know, buying niggas cars. They going out to Eddie Lettuce, going shopping and all that.
He came right, you know what I'm saying? He didn't come trying to take over nothing or move in on this or cut into that.
Whenever a nigga was giving you like 50 keys on consignment, man, how could you go wrong?
Poe wasn't making $300,000-$400,000 in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? He was making that in DC.
That nigga had to connect. You can't do nothing but blow up when you got to connect like that. You can't do nothing but get money.
And that's how he became really as large as he was, because his competition at that time, if you know, for those who know, was the kid Ray from Evans, and he was, you know.
Well, I will say this. I did find out that although everybody thought that he had all this money, you know, just hanging around, a January 1990 report reported that Rich was controlling several streets, but yet in his passing, he passed with $2,000, you guys. Now, FactSet argued against simply, listen, when your body is found, they found his body and in his pocket had $2,000, okay? Is that a robbery? So the detective knew it was more than just a basic robbery. He left the little bit of money he had, he left in his pocket. So now it's time to find out, what did he rob him of and why. So I don't know, guys. So we're gonna go down this rabbit hole. We're gonna do it.
Labeled as a $300 million nigga.
He was like one of the biggest cats coming up out of DC. He doing life now. But I wound up meeting him, and when he went to jail,
he did get even more popular because he from New York. He coming down here. He trying to beat everybody prices, you know.
That's when I really really took over the town. You know what I'm saying?
The Post situation, when he went out of town to DC, he started getting extremely a lot of money.
When I saw Alpo's turning point is when Rich died.
I was on my way to Otisville Penitentiary, upstate New York, to see someone. And our brother had already told me prior.
Let me tell you something. Back in those days, there was a lot of women going up to upstate to go visit whether it's Danamora Marcy was there. That was the thing back then. We couldn't hook up with y'all online. Now I understand. I think in prison they have like iPads and computers. No, we had to get on that $1 bus and bus it up to the jail. So it just was what it was back then. So sad.
Get to that you know somebody kidnapped Richard's brother and they want money and they stuck his finger in, they recorded and they left it, all that. So it's like a van to take you up to the prisons up New York. They got the transportation service to take you. So I'm waiting with this girl from DC. I went with her. We waiting for the transportation van. I see the paper with Richard's brother on the front page. So I pick it up so I can buy it and read it because, our brother already told me that the little boy was kidnapped. So I'm reading, and they found Richard. So right then.
Here's his little brother, you guys. That's Donnell. So innocent. But the sad thing about it is we think that he met his demise because of his brother. Now, we could teeter the fence with this because he met his demise by his uncle, who was in the streets but was yet very jealous of Rich. Very jealous of him. Wanted what Rich had, couldn't understand why Rich couldn't do more for the family and all these things. So I don't know. Family, it was a mixture of both. It was family and envy at the same time, basically what I'm saying. And that's why you have to just watch everybody. How I have a dog and be allergic to the dog? It would always make me itch. Oh, Lord. Okay, you guys, let's keep going.
In there, that was my friend too. I got emotional, because he told me Richard's brother, but Richard wasn't dead at this point. So I'm reading the paper and that's a hell of a way to find out.
And she called me and told me that she had saw it in the paper about Richard and his brother had gotten killed. And I was like, well, and I was scared and I was shocked. And I, was scared because she was up there in New York where all these things was happening, And so, I think I told her to come on home or something. So our brother happened to call me right after I talked to Karen, and I told him that I had just talked to her and what she had saw in the paper about Richard, And he was like, whoa, when? And I said, I just talked to her.
You guys, to understand Rich's ending, we need to understand the people around him, okay? So two names are inseparable from his story, his life story in this thing he was in. It was Azie Faison. He was AKA Azie. Then we also had Alberto Martinez, AKA Alpo. So years later, Paid in Full would transform their histories into characters, Ace, Mitch, and Rico. Ace was inspired primarily by AZ. Mitch was inspired by Rich, and Rico was inspired by Alpo. But real life was not a movie, because life was lifing for these people. There was no soundtrack warnings. There was nothing. There was no cameras, cut, action. They was living this every single day. So when a dispute this developed between these real life friends, these are real people. This is not a movie. Azie Faison became a major Harlem figure and later survived the shooting. He left the UGG scene and participated in telling the story that eventually reached the film. So he had a big impact on the film and how it was produced. So Alpo developed his own operation in Harlem and later expanded into Washington, D.C. Alpo was also remembered by visibility. He was just as loud. You know what? Let me see when his birthday was. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to touch this one over here. Hold on. I'll find this out, y'all. Hold on. Okay. Well, they're saying he's 55, but he passed in October 31st, and he was born in 1966. Okay, so now you have, I was just trying to find out his birthday. Hold on. When is his birthday? Because he's got Leo Virgo. Leo Virgo, we are a lot alike. It's not even like it's like the cusp Virgo that runs into Leo, like September 25th. They have a little bit of Leo in them as well. So, okay, wow. Well, maybe this fit. He was a Gemini, so he had two heads, which that makes a lot of sense. He was able to get in there and win over Rico's heart. Win over Rich's heart, but yet while being his enemy. So this is where the symbolism of the pride becomes especially strong. A real lion pride survives through us being vigilant. We lay and we wait. Can no other animal overtake us? If y'all think another animal can overtake the freaking lion, put it in the chat. What other animal? Listen, don't come in here with no damn dinosaur. We're not doing that. So Achilles' explanation should never automatically be accepted as the complete truth. So we're still unwinding this. Although we know the end of it and where it goes, we're just still going over this case because everybody in this case deserves to be remembered and keeping their names alive and allowing them to also have a platform. So let's get back into the show.
A Godfather guy that we had. He gave orders, other people killed.
I was called in to have a meeting with the lawyers, which they had showed me the crime scene pictures of all the murders that Wayne was charged with. To have seen some of the murders that were committed, you look at him like, damn, I asked him, what does it feel like after you kill somebody? His response was, some of them, he thought about after, some of them he regretted.
So my lawyer came back at me. It was like, listen, man, they really want Wayne Perry. They want you too, but they really want Wayne Perry.
All right, they're now in court and all this good stuff. But let's go back a little bit. So we have on December the 5th, we have Donnell, which was the little brother. He disappeared in Harlem. Okay, police later concluded that he had kidnapped. He was kidnapped because of the money that no one has ever told us how much money there was and what was he being kidnapped for. So he was kidnapped in order to extort money from Rich. This was not simply a random person seeing a child and making an impulsive decision. This kidnappers apparently, they knew this little boy. They knew who his brother was. They knew Richard's reputation. They knew that Donnell could not. If something happened to Donnell, they knew they were going to be able to pull Rich out. Rich was coming out, period. You mess with his brother, he's coming out. And they believed that the Porter family could be forced to produce hundreds of thousands of dollars. The ransom demand reached a high $500,000. That amount of money is important. And that amount of money in those days, It shows how wealthy the kidnappers believe Rich was. It also showed the danger created by a larger-than-life image. So it was an image. He was pretending to be this millionaire, but he wasn't. So when people believe you are the king, they assume that the king possesses a treasury somewhere. So a person who possesses cars, jewelry, drugs, and still unable to produce $500,000 in immediate cash, which he was unable to produce. He could not find it. He didn't have anybody out there willing to front him $500,000. So he was resorted to having to go back to the people that he knew owed him money. And some of the wealth may exist more in the rumor than reality. So the reality was he had nothing. The rumors were he had everything. So behind that rumor, his brother lost his life. So who was the kidnappers, you guys? You know, we saw in the movie that it was Rich's uncle. But when I go through the case and I try to find information, it's alluding to, it's not ever saying the uncle. It never says that it was a family member, which is very, very weird to me. You know, I try to figure out, you know, the guy's name. So listen, you guys, you're 12 years old and the child, he disappeared. Just disappeared. They couldn't find him. So there's no simple answer when fear is controlling every option. And remember this, the family did not know who was safe. They didn't know. It could have been the mother. They didn't know. The person's offering to help might have been involved. So they were very nervous. They didn't want to bring this outside of their tiny little circle. Contemporary reporting stated that Donnell was kidnapped on December 5th. Okay. He was kidnapped on December 5th. That police, they also believed the purpose was extortion of his older brother, and that demand reached approximately $500,000, you guys. Thank you guys that are on here, that are watching. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my channel, and never miss a notification, you guys. We're everywhere. So if you tell me you can't find this channel, use a liar and the truth ain't in you, guys. But I tell you, something is going on in this world today, and it's getting worse. Look at this. Nothing's changed under the sun. It is what it is. This type of thing still goes on, but it's going on Snapchat and all those things. But at the end of the day, it's still the same crimes. So the kidnappers needed to prove that they truly had Donnell. They also wanted to demonstrate that they were prepared to hurt him. And that's what they wanted, to put that fear in Rich's heart. So let's keep watching this one.
And if you got anything good on him, they willing to make a deal with you.
Alpo was a smart businessman. He looked at his odds at tangling with the feds and realized that he had more information that he thought he could trade to get him out of this predicament.
I remember that the first meeting that we had with the agents, where he had to sit across the same agents who were prosecuting him, who had arrested him, and who had been investigating him for so long. And now he was like working with them.
Alpo brought to the table that kind of businessman callousness. And so when he's doing a dope deal or deciding whether to kill somebody or not, it was business. That's what drove him. He rarely ever acted out of personal anger or animosity. He made business decisions. When it came to dealing with us, it was the same. He'd already made a decision. Look, let's do a deal. And it's like, he is using his own terms. It's like, let's negotiate a contract. He thought he was like an NBA player. And here we are, sitting down. He wants to play basketball. It's just a matter of negotiating terms of the contract.
Poe was so slick that
he outsmarted them. He just beat them to the chase. He knew that any moment they knew where his money was or whatever, that they didn't need him no more, he would be disposed of too.
he orchestrated the police to come and buy the murder weapons that was involved in his murder. Now, one of the guys that was involved had the weapons, so Poe was corresponding with him from prison, and nobody knew, especially Wayne, that he was setting them up.
He was able to provide enough information to put Mr. Perry at the place of the murder, and also to provide the motive for Mr. Perry to commit the murders.
We had very powerful forensic evidence in Alpo's case, so that time after time after time he would say something happened, the murder happened this way. We had very powerful forensic evidence.
I know most of you guys are saying that the person close to you can cause more damage. And I'm going to tell you why they can cause more damage. Because they know you. They know your vulnerabilities. They know everything about you. They know what makes you tick. They know what makes you happy. They know what hurts you. So a person posing as an enemy posing as a friend, and they will lay in wait. So the enemy outside the pride, they see your strength, but they don't know your heart. So they don't know what you're capable of. They don't know how far you will go. But that person next to you, he knows. So therefore, he got to take you out before you get to that point. So you got to be more afraid of the people that know you opposed to the people that don't. That's why listen, I got a very small circle. Very small. So Rich's body was found on January the 4th, 1990, with gunshot wounds to the head and chest and more than $2,000 still in his wallet. Listen, Alpo and Garrett Terrell allegedly deleted Rich on January the 3rd, and that neither man was convicted specifically for his homicide. So Alpo later publicly described Rich entering the van and acknowledged deleting a person he called his brother. So now we can, now we need to just separate what Harlem believed opposed to what truly happened. Something so funny. Sometimes during the nighttime, my system will go down, but it won't stay down. But anyway, so his account has been repeated in interviews and documentaries, but despite those admissions, neither Alpo nor Garrett Terrell was convicted specifically for the deletion of Rich Porter, which is crazy. So that legal distinction matters. People frequently said the story, but it was just so many different factors behind it. So everybody knows Alpo deleted Rich. So the case was solved. So let's go back into this little video we have here, which is almost done.
Documented. We had DNA, we had blood analysis, we had ballistics.
All of these weapons had everybody's fingerprints on it. So with those weapons, they had confiscated the MPV van from in front of my house.
I mean, we were tearing up carpet in a van and finding pools of blood underneath the carpet in the van, subjected to DNA testing, and it was matched to the victim in multiple instances.
And then you had the key witness, which was Alpo. So that was a done deal. Then Wayne was fucked all the way around. Okay, that was the one murder that carried the death penalty.
I'm personally opposed to the death penalty, as I've told the president, but I probably asked for it.
The death penalty was originally for Poe.
When the government came at me, they was trying to give me the death penalty. We got you for this murder, we got you for that murder. This is capital punishment right here. You done.
I will ask for it as I have consistently, and I will advocate for it as the law of the land in particular situations if we can secure such penalties.
She made the decision that we could negotiate a deal with Alpo and take the death penalty off the table.
Wayne told me that this nigga is trying to get these racist motherfuckers to inject me with a needle and kill me.
Once you've taken the position I've taken, you gotta tell it all.
Even if the judge wants to give them the most lenient sentence possible, the judge can't get below those mandatory minimum sentences unless, with one exception, unless they snitch. Then it's like a magic key to the jail.
You're facing 7 life counts in D.C. and a consecutive life count in Virginia, plus firearm counts running consecutive. So if you lie to us even one time, the deal's off.
Poe let the system rape him and turn him into something that he wasn't. He was a hell of a good dude, you know what I'm saying? But he let the federal government rape him.
You heard him. He was a hell of a good dude, but he deleted. He destroyed his community. Listen, he's a good dude by whose account? That's why I hate when people be like, I'm a good dude on this. Self-reference is no praise. Please. There's nothing good about that guy.
There is no other option when you play as hard as he played.
Give or take, if it was Wayne that they caught first, Poe probably would still be out on the streets because Wayne is a true man to the game. He went out like a soldier.
If you in the street, man, you know that's a no-no, man.
All right, you guys, listen. So we have 24 days after Rich's body was discovered. The Porter family received an answer they had feared. Can you imagine? So on January 28th, 1990, Donnell's body was found on a bicycle path in Bronx. He had been wrapped in multiple layers of plastic bags. The medical examiner determined that he had been deleted from blunt force trauma to the head. I know it happens all the time, but how do you beat a child to death? His death was classified as a homicide, and Donnell was found in the same general section of Bronx that Rich was found, which was really eerie. So the family had lost both brothers. That's this woman's only children. She had 2 sons. One had been shot and the other one had been kidnapped and tortured and deleted. And neither homicides resulted in the type of murder conviction that the family desired or wanted or deserved, you guys. So now we come to the one most sensitive and frequently misunderstood part of this story. Okay, here we go. The allegations involved Rich and Donnell's maternal uncle, John Porter, which was his mother's brother. Lord have mercy. His mother's brother, often called Johnny or Apple in later accounts. Rich's sister, Patricia, later stated publicly that her uncle admitted involvement in Donnell's kidnapping and deletion. That is a family member reported account. So they knew later what he did. So it's important. Evidence is understanding what the family believed happened, but it is not the same as a murder conviction. So a federal court opinion from 1998 confirms several important points. John Porter was a defendant in this federal case involving Clarence Preacher Hidley's organization. So if you guys were in the movie, you noticed that the uncle always hung around with this one guy that was in a little store. This is who they're talking about now. The government alleged that Preacher crew, they had a whole crew. Remember, was 2 guys was standing next to one guy was standing next to the uncle, and then they had Richard's uncle. So this crew, they did assaults, robberies, extortion, they was trafficking. They were doing all these things. So the court opinion also stated that a former NYPD detective had previously contact with John Porter and members of his family while investigating the murder of Porter's nephew. So the judicial system, although they had all this evidence, they could not, or they did not, charge these people with murder. I don't understand it. The decision concerned, of course, whether John Porter's statement to investigators could be used against him. It did not convince anybody. This whole thing is just so crazy to me. I believe that a lot of them sold out. They probably, turned on one guy, whatever. So Patricia Porter publicly alleged that her uncle admitted he said to his niece that he did this. But did that help the case? Not at all. Not one bit. So the case ended. Now reports stated that Donnell's body was found. He had 14 layers of plastic wrapped around him. That is so sad. 14. So in 2002, Paid in Full introduced a fictionalized version of this story. And I love this movie. I can watch this movie every day, all day. If it was the only movie on earth, I could watch it, you guys. The film transformed Azie, Rich, and Alpo into Ace, Mitch, and Rico. So Mekhi Phifer, we already know who he played. He did his thing with Rich Porter. I didn't know nothing about Rich Porter, but let me tell you something. When Mekhi Phifer played, Lord have mercy. Cameron did his thing. Rico became the image and betrayal of that character, Alpo, which he did really, really good. We had Wood Harris, Ace, our boy Lucky. You know, they all did their thing. They brought this story to life, and it was so real. Like, you felt like, you know, it was one of those stories where they have other people playing, like they had Tina Turner. You felt like that was Tina Turner. You felt like these guys was really there, and they brought you into that era, and you just felt part of it. So did Paid in Full discourage people from the drug trade, or did it unintentionally make the lifestyle more attractive? Sometimes I believe it made it more attractive. So Paid in Full is widely described as a fictionalized retelling inspired by Azie, which was Ace, Faison, Rich Porter, and Alpo. So as we close tonight, you guys, deadly Leo cases. I want to return to the lion. The lion represents strength, pride, courage, leadership, but strength without wisdom can become exposure and can become a weakness, you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I'm going to be doing this the entire month of August. It is Leo month, and we're getting into these crimes of these Leos and how they dealt with it, what they did. And I'm excited for tomorrow's case. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you might want to get in here. So we just pray for their family, and we pray that they've found peace over these years. And we pray that God puts a hedge of protection around them, and that he pulls out anything that's negative in this family, and he puts nothing but good in it, in the name of Jesus. So you guys, listen, you don't want to miss it. It's going down in the month of August. So like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Please turn on your notifications so you don't miss a live. We are everywhere. So you guys be blessed and have a great night.